I really ought to put the camera on a tripod. I've got it standing on a tin of paint and I've got something wedged under it. I've got a tripod, but it's in the other room. I can't, whatever. I've been to work today. The weather has been a little bit like Christmas. We've had hail, we've had sleet, we've had cold. This morning I had to scrape ice off the trusty Skoda before I could drive. So if it's a little bit like Christmas, really ought to be unwrapping another Christmas present. If you've watched all of my videos, first of all, my apologies, but secondly, you will know that I've been encouraged to play with model railways by a very eminent local priest, very nice man, our Father Leslie. And because I ended up sort of dealing with the older stuff that the club had been given, I've been poking my nose into it. And there's something weird about this. If you buy current model railway stuff, it's horribly expensive. It's got computer gizmos in it, you put chips in it to make it go chuff, or brrr, or whatever noise the particular type of rolling stock is supposed to be, and it's expensive. But I've been pointed towards what we describe as Dad's Railway or Granddad's Railway, or occasionally we call it the boys' bedroom railway. The stuff that we knew when we were boys. In fact, a lot of the stuff is from slightly before when I was a boy, but none the worse for that. And it is cheap. I don't understand why it's cheap, but it is cheap. Which means that instead of buying one carriage for £20–25 sterling, I don't know, those of you that are cleverer than me can work that out in euros. It'll be about a quarter as much again, or dollars. Lord knows how much a dollar is these days. Whereas we can find a package of coaches like this for £7.50. Not worth arguing about. Now, I haven't yet unwrapped this, as you can see, so the person that sent it to me obviously was very concerned in case it should be damaged in transit, and has done a great job with sticky tape and bubble wrap and so on and so forth, so it's arrived in very good condition. And the first thing we find in the packet, now you all know what this is, a Royal Mail travelling post office. That means I've got 3 of those. Wonderful. I do know how to make them work. Now this one, which looks like it's never been played with. That's beautiful. We very often would call this a blood and custard because of the red and the, I don't know, the yellow, I suppose, custard colour. Look at that, isn't that an absolute diamond? What else have we got in here? Ah, right, okay. A first and standard class suburban carriage. Now, looking at this, it is Hornby Double. Let me get in close to the camera. Oh, you probably can't see that now. It is Hornby Double, but it's been fitted with plastic axles, which means you can run it on a much more modern layout. And then another coach. Now, I like history, so you're about to get a history lesson. Many years ago, when Americans were still, what were they still doing? Chasing buffaloes and things. There was, in Europe, a lot of people building railways, and many of them were, frankly, criminal schemes to make money out of shareholders. However, some of them grew into very, very good railways. And what we're looking at here is LMS, London Midland Scottish. Yeah, it says it's got a number 3, which says it's sort of third class. It's a brake parcels third class carriage, and we turn it round and we see that it's got the same sort of things on the other side. So, London Midland Scottish. Well, where I live, the railway that was built was known as the London, Tilbury and Southend Railway. And in 1912, it was taken over by what was known as the Midland Railway. And I'm sure someone will correct me if I get the dates wrong. In 1928, the railway companies were grouped into what was known as the Big Four, and the Midland Railway was amalgamated with one of the Scottish railways and became London, Midland and Scottish Railway, LMS. The others of the Great Four were Southern, which ran to the south coast, Great Western, the GWR, which some impious characters often call God's Wonderful Railway, and the London North Eastern, which means that the stations where I live were built, some of them were built by the London Tilbury Southend, some of them were built by the Midland, and some of them were built by London, Midland and Scottish. In fact, the station nearest to me, Chalkwell, is very, very London, Midland and Scottish. So there we are, a piece of history, a corridor coach, very, very cheap, makes me very happy. You can see it's not in the first flush of youth, but then again, this is slightly older than I am. And, well, let's be honest, I've got a bit of rust showing through here and there as well.